if you could describe your entrepreneurial journey since, I think, 2011, right?
Mhm.
In one word, what would that word be?
Oh, one word. I had the 2 words came at first, but
Okay,
it was
give me two. You can have, give me two, but you have to give me a half a word on any future thing so that we even out.
deal.
Okay.
Third grader.
Join Mike, Janda, and guests to discuss the things that make creative people say, "What the hell, Helvetica?"
Third grader. All right.
That's how I describe it.
I love it. Let's dig into that. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to What the Helvetica. I am here with Tyler Tolson from Denik, company he started in 2011 while still in college, right, Tyler?
Correct. Yep.
Yes. So you have what we like to call huevos that some people do not have. That's how I dial back my my aggressive language. Just use a foreign language
There you go.
to describe the same thing. But you do have some cojones that most people don't have. I did not have it when I was in college. So I want to dig into some of that and the psychology that you have and why you did that and how you became a success doing it when you didn't have like a career before it.
Right.
Like this has been your career,
For sure.
and it's been a massive success. And so I'm really excited to dig into that. All right. Third grader is your response. Why do you say third grader?
Okay, so my 3rd grade teacher threw away my artwork. And I was in the back of the class. I was drawing Shaquille O'Neal, my favorite basketball player. He was dunking the ball, and I was putting in tons of time, effort, shading. I wasn't paying attention at all. I was doing what I thought I should be doing at the time, and I think I showed my neighbor the artwork, and Mrs. Crawford from the front of the room said, "Tyler, what is that? Go throw it away." And so I walked up to the front of the classroom, and it was a tall metal garbage bin, and I didn't want to crumple it, so I just kind of floated it down in there. And I went back to my seat and put my head down, and I was just trying to think, how could I get that out during recess or distract Mrs. Crawford so I can get that artwork back? I was so devastated. I was angry. I was frustrated. And I put a lot of time into that art. And then I felt this tap on my shoulder, and I looked up, and Mrs. Crawford was kneeling down by my desk. And she slid a piece of paper on my desk, and it was my drawing. And she said, "That's too good to throw away."
Whoa.
And so when I think about my entrepreneurial journey, I think about that story throughout the whole process of just little reminders of this is just, it's a little too good to throw away. So keep sticking with it. No matter what's happening, there's times where you feel like you're in the garbage bin. There's times where you feel like you shouldn't be there. You're not worthy. It never ends. And so, as a 3rd grader, you think you know a lot, but you really don't. It's the same with my entrepreneurial journey. I'm constantly learning. I can't learn enough, constantly reading. And so it's been a wild ride. But forever grateful for Mrs. Crawford and taking a chance on me to tell me it was too good to throw away. So
Good for her for not wrecking your entire life.
yes,
Like honestly, man, some of those moments, you hear
it's
people
true.
talk about it. That those were the defining moments. I saw Rudy Rudiger speak at a thing one time, and he tells his story. I don't know if you've ever seen him tell his actual story. You have?
Yeah, I have. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so he talks about the story and talks about the teachers
Mhm,
and
mhm.
his parents and things that nobody believed in him,
Yep.
and some of the comments that they made that could have or would have derailed most people for the rest of time. Him about being stupid, like he wasn't smart enough or
Yep.
something, as I
Yep.
recall.
For sure. For
Yeah,
sure. And
and then you have to overcome that baggage.
right.
It's disastrous. One of the takeaways on those kinds of things for me is that now that you and I were adults and you have kids and you have influence, you just messaged the other day that you went on some youth camp with 200 youth or something. that kind of thing, you have the ability to impact people that come across your path for better or for worse. So you better freaking pay attention to how you're behaving and the things you're saying to those people, because that one little moment
Mhm.
that Mrs. Crawford could have just dismissed and said, throw it away, could have derailed years of your life or
Yep. Yep.
decades of your
For
life
sure, for
as a
sure.
result of it.
And
Yeah.
it didn't even take that much of her time, you know? She
Yeah.
she watched me throw it away and not crumple it, so she saw like, "Ah, this seems like it was kind of important to him," and she took a look at it and then made a
Yeah.
decision right then. It wasn't a huge epic thing, but she just made a
Yeah.
simple decision of like, "You know what? That's actually pretty good. I'm gonna give it back to him." That's it.
Even if it sucked,
Yeah.
she should have given it back,
Yeah.
though. That's the thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's the thing, but good for her. Good for her.
Yep. Yep.
Your 5th grade teacher was the one who had a huge impact on you, though, right? That was the you have a video out about this. We'll try and remember, to link that in the description, but tell the
Cool.
story of your 5th grade teacher and some of the impact that it was a her too, right?
Yes.
Was
Yeah,
Yeah, the impact that she had on you.
so actually, it was this exact teacher, the 3rd grade teacher. She was the one
Oh, it was?
that
Okay.
made this big impact. So, she's the one that, I mean, I look back to, and there was years where I couldn't find her. We have Facebook, we have all these things, and I couldn't track her down, and I wanted to say thank you to her because 'cause I'd told this story to thousands of people, um, different audiences and things, and, um, so we had found her, and she was in stage 4 brain cancer, and I talked to her son, and he said she actually can't speak right now because of the cancer, and it was right before Thanksgiving just a few years ago, and he said, "So, we're gonna get through Thanksgiving, and then if you wanna come," 'cause I'm from Maryland, so she was out in Maryland. He said, "If you wanna come out and visit her after Thanksgiving, we'll talk about it." So he called me after Thanksgiving, and he said the doctors gave her 2 weeks. So I'd booked a flight and flew out that day.
Oh,
Next morning, I was in the hospital holding her hand, telling her that I loved her and that her one decision impacted my life. And, I'm an artist, I'm a creative, and,
mhm.
forever grateful for her, and she passed away just a couple days later.
Yeah.
So
I I mentioned to you once when we had a chat about my art teacher from high school who had a similar impact on me. I didn't have that defining
yeah.
moment, but I had her I took every art class that was in high school, from
Mhm.
printmaking to ceramics to everything in between. Um, and I was her teacher's pet, but everybody was her teacher's
Ah,
pet.
yeah.
I look back on it now, and
Mhm.
she was just so good at that.
Yep,
In fact, my
yep.
brother, who's like 3 or 4 years younger than me, had her in high school too, and she had a big impact on him
Cool.
as well. But she passed away a few years
Mhm.
ago, and I just felt this massive loss. I thanked her in my book,
Mm,
my first book, Bring Your Portfolio,
yep.
put her in the credits and just
Cool.
said, just thank you for making art
Yeah.
something that meant something to me enough to make a career out of it, and I wouldn't be doing what I do
Yep.
now had it not been for the influence that she had on me and the self-esteem that she made me feel like I was good enough and creative enough and better than average, and I could make a career out of it. There's no way I would have done this had it not been for her. So just so grateful for those kinds of people that really shape our lives. I wanna be that kind of person, and I know
Yep.
you
Yep.
do too.
For sure.
So let's talk about that. Okay, well, let's just Denik, which I used to call Denik back in the day, which
All
you've
good.
probably battled from a branding
Mhm.
standpoint for a decade, right?
Oh, yeah. Still
Um,
happens every day. I don't mind. That's fine.
yeah, yeah. But still, do you ever regret not spelling it Denique to be for sure
Yeah,
Denis?
we've had some people bring that up, and,
Yeah,
you know, it it comes to the core of why I chose that name. I don't know if you
yeah.
want me to share
So
that.
heck yes, that's what we're getting into.
Let's
We're gonna
go.
dig into wherever this conversation goes. I just love talking to people, and I like seeing where we land and trying to dig out some nuggets.
Yep,
So yeah,
yep.
where did the name come from? Because naming is freaking
Yep.
traumatic
So,
as a business experience.
yes, I was on, the campus at Utah State, and I had this idea, and I was definitely going to go with it. And I was going to run with this idea. I was going to make it happen. And I knew I just needed to pick a name and just make a decision. And so I pulled up my laptop sitting on my buddy's apartment floor, and I was like, okay, there's some other languages that might be cool. Maybe there's some words that cross over. So I typed in a bunch of words that represented the brand: notebook, giving, art, doing good, artist, right? Journal, sketchbook, all those words. And then I clicked I was on freetranslation.com. Didn't have ChatGPT or anything like that back then.
No, the sad days.
Yeah, sad days.
Yeah.
Hit the,
We had to actually use our brain.
exactly. Yeah. So I hit the drop down box to see the languages, and it's long, dropped way down, but close to the top was Czech. And instantly I thought, oh man, Czech. My favorite hockey player as a kid was Jaromír Jágr, and he's from Czech Republic. So I was like, all right, well, I'll click Czech. And it translated all those brand words into the Czech language. And I was scrolling down and I thought, oh, Denik. And I listened to it and it said Denik. And it had the little accent mark over top of it. So, and I was like, oh, it means journal. So I did some searching. Nobody associated anything with Denik in the US. And it was actually the main newspaper in the Czech Republic. And they owned Denik.com. So I bought shopdenik.com. And then a few years later, I bought Denik.com for $3,000 from that Czech Republic newspaper company.
Dude, I was going to ask the price, because you hear of the mega price stuff. Like I know a guy, this is the highest price domain that I've ever known somebody who actually owned, but he sold a domain for $500,000. Yeah, exactly. Like, this is a business I should have jumped on in 1998. I don't know why I wasn't registering every domain I could think of back then, but very few people had the foresight. Anyway, he had a domain for $500,000. And Denik, being a 5-letter domain as a .com, you got a steal for $3,000.
Yep.
That was a steal.
Like the heavens aligned or something for us to get that. Crazy. So now we have it.
Well, good. And you have the business going already. So those people could have gone to your website and seen that you were a legitimate business and jacked the price up. So kudos to you. And you know what? Shame on that seller. If they were on the phone, I'd be like, man, you should have charged like 10x that. You could have got 30 grand for that domain. What was your price threshold? Where would you have gone just to rub it in on the person who sold it to you too cheap?
We probably would have, I mean, at the time, we really weren't making much money at all. Like 3 years in, we were going to do like a couple $100,000 at that point. Weren't taking any salaries.
At a cost basis that you have, you're printing, you got materials, you got presses, you got, it's not like you're rolling around with an 80% profit margin.
So we're like, let's see what they say. And when they threw out $3,000, we chewed on it for hours. Like,
you did.
Should we do it? So we were probably at our threshold, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was $5,000, we probably still would have pulled the trigger.
My agency was Riser, and during my sale of my agency, so we had the domain riseragency.com. But during my sale, the people who owned riser.com, I want to say it was an architectural firm or something like that. They were willing to sell it for 10 grand. And I was like, oh, dang it. If I would have known I was going to have like 1 to 5 more years of going, I for sure would have bought it. For sure. But I was like on the cusp of acquisition, and I was like, I was just going to let that go. Just let that one go. But I do believe this. I believe this about domain names. I look at it as this competition. When I have to name something, I believe that I can be creative enough to find a name that's available as a .com that is memorable and meaningful and spellable and blah,
Legible.
blah, blah, down the list
Yep.
of naming attributes. And it's a game for me that I want to win
Mhm.
so bad.
Mhm.
Like my entrepreneurial competitive spirit comes out.
Yep.
And then I just get so deep into freaking thesaurus
Oh, yeah.
or translations and all the stuff you were doing.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
We should compare URLs on GoDaddy that we own at some
We
point,
should
'cause
just compile
I
or
have a lot.
compile all the spreadsheets of names that
Mhm.
you've explored
Mhm.
and checked availability
Yep.
on. It is
So true.
long. It is long. I know our marketing team used to they would do like 100 plus names per naming exercise that they did for a client. So if we were naming something for a client, they'd sit in a room, man, and it would be a team of people,
Yep.
100 something names, and then they would go and rank them based on the
Wow.
criteria and try and find the short
Mm.
list. And I just love that game.
Yep.
I love that game.
Yep.
It's so fun. It's so agonizing.
Mhm.
Just everything about it is like, it's just you gotta it
Yep.
pushes you
Yep.
so hard as a creative
It's true.
to do that.
It's true.
So I love the name though. I love Denik, and I didn't know the story of it meaning journal, and I think that's just awesome. That is
Yep.
awesome. Good history, and it's so memorable. Even if you don't know that it has actual
For
meaning,
sure.
it's so memorable and so spellable. It just checks the
Yep.
boxes. Where did this whole idea come from of custom designed notebooks? And for those of you that are listening that don't know what Denik is, I call it custom designed Moleskines.
Mm.
That's what it
Mhm.
is. And I love the Moleskine brand. It's just the pocket size, the notebook size, the hardback versus the paperback. You've got the spiral bound. You've got these options in Moleskine line. And I think Moleskine has a great brand, but there is no design. Your design is, do you want the black one
Right.
or the brown one? Or they threw in like a green one at some point, and that's where they were getting really creative. Red ones. We got some yellow ones in the later days of my agency because
Mhm. Mhm.
our core color was yellow. Anyway, where did
Nice.
this idea come from? Are you always, I know you're a sketchbooky kind of creative person. Is it that, or what was where was the spark?
Yep.
Where'd the spark come from?
So my whole life was carrying a notebook, a sketchbook, sheets of paper. My grandma, every Sunday, we'd go over to her house and she would leave out sheets of printer paper for me and the comic section of the newspaper for that week. And so that I could draw the comics. And so it was just always a part of me. I was a missionary for 2 years and kept 9
Mm.
volumes of journals.
Wow.
And wrote every single day, and so the journaling became a big part of my life too, and I always was on the hunt for a unique notebook.
Yeah.
Sketch something unique, and I tried all sorts of stuff. I did it in hardcover books and all sorts of things, and so I was always on the hunt, and then I had done this drawing, and my sister-in-law said, "Well, that would be cool if you put that drawing on the cover of your notebook." And I was like, "That would be cool." There's so many notebooks out there and, there's great brands, but these notebooks, we pour our creative souls into them, and there's not a brand that's feels that creative to me, that's
Mhm.
pushing these creative boundaries, and that's standing for something bigger and better.
Mhm.
So I started chewing on that and thought, "Well, what." This was 2011, so Instagram was really rising in popularity,
Yeah.
and I thought,
Well, that was around like right when Facebook bought it, right? Wasn't
right.
that was probably 2012 was the
Mhm.
$1 billion
Yep,
acquisition, I
yep,
think.
I think so.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
I mean, it was booming, and it was so
Yeah.
easy to connect with these other artists all over the world,
Mhm.
and I said, "Well, I'm gonna I'm gonna buy some machinery. Imma start making notebooks and
Where did you get
sketchbooks."
money for machinery? That'll be our next
Yeah,
topic,
yeah,
but
good, good.
keep going
Yep,
on
for
this
sure, for
keep
sure.
going on this
So I
story.
said, I'm gonna buy some machinery, and I'm gonna start making notebooks. I'm gonna reach out to these artists and start printing and binding notebooks where we'll have their art on it, and everything we sell, we'll give them part of it, and we'll use part of it to build schools. Because people always told me, "As an artist, you'll never make a living and you'll never do anything." right? Other than Mrs. Crawford and a
Mhm.
few other people, they were saying, don't be an artist. And so I thought, man,
Well,
this is
that's the cliche that goes back decades
Mhm.
is like of the starving artist. It's a phrase,
Exactly.
and for a reason, a lot of people are.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
And so that was the start of it. And for me, you know, I how did I come across some money? I actually had previously been in a startup called Parco. It was a website and a smartphone app that I was starting with other buddies in college and was working on that for a while, getting it developed, designed, um, and starting to connect with like LA Dodgers and other things where
Mm.
you choose your event you're going to, you pay for parking, and you get a QR code. And this was early QR code days
Ye
too.
Heck
And
yeah.
so you would just scan in and have your parking before you even get to the event.
So this was pre-2011
Correct.
Denik
Correct.
startup.
Yep.
Oh, man, you were on the freaking bleeding edge of QR codes and parking apps.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And so, um, we were getting that going. My two partners were finishing school, and I had a year left at Utah State. And we had won a bunch of pitch contests, and major investor was coming on board. And the partners approached me and were like, "Hey, are you going to come on this thing full ride, full bore, or are you going to finish your schooling and do that extra year you have?" And I thought long and hard about how passionate I am about parking.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
said,
That's
"I'll
good.
just sell my shares." And so
Wow.
I sold my shares right then. And so, it wasn't boatloads, but I had a little bit of pocket change.
Well, at the time, it was probably boatloads, though 3,000 was your threshold at Denik a couple years in.
Exactly. Yeah.
So so if
Yeah.
you got 5,000 for
Right.
your shares,
Exactly.
you're, like,
Exactly.
rolling in it,
Exactly. So
rolling in it.
I had that, and that was my startup costs that I put right into Denik because this was my passion. And I said, well, I had so much fun over here in an area that I'm not passionate about parking,
Yeah.
but I love the
Yeah.
creative idea and taking something from nothing to adding value to people. And so that's where I put it in. And the first machine I bought was this spiral binding machine, very manual, clunky. I
Yeah.
and I was like,
Just like a wire-o
"Yep,
spins it kinda
yep,
thing, not the clampy kind,
correct,
but the yeah.
correct, yep."
Mhm.
And so,
My first job was at Alpha Graphics. I
oh
used to
yeah,
run
there you
those
go.
freaking
Yep,
machines.
you
Yeah.
know, you
They
know.
had those kind of
Yep.
things.
So
Yeah.
that was the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
type of stuff I was buying, and I it was so expensive to print lined paper, and I was trying to figure out a way to do it cheap and do low quantities. And I had this idea. I said, well, I mean, there's all these, sorry, Mead, there's all these Mead notebooks and other spiral notebooks at Walmart, Kmart, grocery stores all over, and they're selling them for 25 cents. And they have all the lined paper that I need. So I went
Yeah.
and bought all of them. Shopping
Wow.
carts full. Cases, I
Huh.
bought everything, and the next year, they put limits on how many you could take because I had bought
Woo
the store
wow.
out, and
Huh.
my wife and I lived in a little one-bedroom studio apartment, and it was lined paper, spiral notebooks everywhere, and so me and my partners, we would rip those covers off, pull out that wire, and we would match the, um, sections of the wire-O, those holes, to ours.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
pitch is what it's called. We'd match that pitch to our machines and then run the covers, punch the covers, and then bind it to our now unbranded line pages
Yeah.
and that we got for
Yeah.
25 cents instead of
Yeah.
$7.
Very
So
entrepreneurial
that
of
was
you.
that was how we started and did that
Yeah.
for a while. We'd then slip it in a nice poly bag with a cool sticker. And
Uh-huh.
then I'll never forget standing at the first event on campus with our first batch of products. And this girl came up and was like, "What is this?" And we told her what we were doing, pulled out a $10 bill,
Yeah.
handed it to me, and then grabbed the notebook that she wanted. That feeling right there of, I just did something. I made something from nothing. It was an idea, and someone gave me a $10 bill for it. That's like throughout the whole entrepreneurial journey, you have those little moments that are highlights and milestones. It's not
Yeah.
always money, but there are little things that keep you going and
Yeah.
remind you that, hey, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. I've had so many of those. While you're talking, I'm thinking back on my own journey of stuff, and every entrepreneur has those tipping points. That's what they are. They're the tipping points, the Malcolm Gladwell phraseology, which I just that book impacted me so much
sure.
because then I just started looking my whole time for these tipping points. Like the Mead notebook
Yep.
idea, that was a tipping point in your business. All of a sudden you had all the line paper you wanted, and it was just very
Exactly.
entrepreneurial, that spark. Oh, that was a tipping point. The sale of those Parco shares, tipping point, because it gave you seed money to invest in the
Yep.
next thing.
For sure.
Where did the cojones come from? Because like I said at the start, when I was in college, man, I didn't have a dad entrepreneur. I didn't have the balls to go for something. I was just like hoping to get out of school and get a job at some agency somewhere and then just build my career through the ladder, junior
Yep.
designer, designer, senior designer, art director. I was just going to go up the ladder.
Yep.
Where did you get the nuts? See, I'm just using
There we
all of
go.
the terms that I can come up with for the theme, but where did you get
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
to do it? Because not everybody has that.
Yeah.
Were you too naive? Like, were you naive and just thought, "Oh, I can do this," or was it like you had the entrepreneurial example, or where did it come
So,
from?
there's a couple things. So I'll share a couple things. One, um, in high school in Maryland, we had a computer graphics 2-year computer graphics course that was college level, going through computer graphics, graphic design, like early Photoshop, Illustrator, Bryce, all these things. And I lived.
Bryce,
Yes.
freaking
Yes.
Bryce, yes,
So
Bryce.
I
Oh, it's
spent
so good.
every free hour working on those projects. I would skip lunch, grab a bag of Cheetos and a vanilla Coke that was brand new, and then go and just keep working on projects. And it was really cool. College level courses, professors were awesome. That was in high school. Um, so I experienced a lot there. Then I did some schooling, 2 years in Virginia, and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna continue to pursue graphic design." Kept going that route, did that for 2 years. Then I did the volunteer work, the 2-year mission work, and when I got back from that and decided to do some school at Utah State, none of that transferred. So I was a 23-year-old freshman, and I was
Wow.
like, "Oh, man, do I just start over again? That kinda sucks." And so but I was like, "You know what? This is just a chance to do things a little bit differently." And so that's where a big part of that came from, of like, well, I've already done something really hard, start from scratch again. I lost all
Yeah.
4 years of my life, and I just have to redo it. And
Yeah.
so I said, I'm just gonna do things a little differently. Then I was in a class on campus, and I can't remember the photographer's name, but I think his name was like Chris Gauthier, and he was doing a big lecture, on his photography and basically how he made it as a photographer. I was sitting in the back paying attention, and he said there was this gallery in Europe that he knew if he could get his photos into, it would like put him on the map. And so he packaged up his stuff, hand wrote a letter, shipped it off to this gallery, got a letter back from them, and they said, "Sorry, thanks anyway." And so he did what any sane person would do, shot some more photos, packed them up, and shipped them off to the gallery again. He got another letter back, and this time they said, "Nope, sorry. Best of luck to you." He did it 6 times. And on the 6th time, they said, "Congratulations, you've been accepted to the gallery." So this went on months and months and months. And he did it 6 times. And he said, this is where he realized what Aristotle was talking about of fortune favors the bold. And I remember shaking in my seat to my soul. Like I felt it in my chest when he said that quote, and he highlighted his story, an example of that. And I thought, oh man, I've done that before. I can be that type of person that is bold and that goes after it and doesn't give up. And so that became my life mantra right there. Fortune favors the bold. And so I would say those 2 things really are what kind of shaped me to have the cojones to just go for it.
Yeah. Did you, what drives you now? Like so for me, and I'll just preface this by saying I get up in the morning and I just want to freaking win as an entrepreneur. Like I grew up with my 4 brothers and it was my 5 boys and my parents in a lake house in Indiana, playing in the woods and just having our own Lord of the Flies kind of society that we had with my brothers. And it was like, it made me so competitive as a person. That's what fuels me. So all I need is like a nemesis. That's all I need. And I'm going to like freaking conquer. What fuels you? Like you've been at this now for 14 years straight. Yeah. That's the threshold time that in my life, I've seen that a lot of the entrepreneurs are like, what's next?
Yeah.
I'm getting tired.
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore. That's been too stressful. I'm working on my PTSD, my anxiety, my depression, all the things that come from running a business that long. And then they partner, or they pivot, or they do something. What keeps you going all this time?
Yeah.
Like what's your fuel?
So, I mean, I'm a very competitive person. Sports, I mean, hockey, 2-3 nights a week. I love to compete. I love to win.
Are you still playing hockey now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good.
It's a lot of fun.
That's
I got a
awesome.
game tonight.
You do?
6 hours. So puck drops in 6 hours. Anybody wants to come. So I love the competition side, but the main driver right now is we've reached a level where creativity and the brand can actually do a lot more and a lot more good. And we have the time, the capital, the creativity to push boundaries a little bit further. And the things that we have in the backlog, the stories, the collaborations that we have in the works, the things that we're building still, I'm as excited today as day one. I'm more excited today.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so, yeah, it's exciting to come to work every day. I'm
awesome.
I'm busy right now. I'm in a season of being busy. But I've had the ebbs and flows of how the company's been positioned, and really only having one major meeting a week with our executive team. And then other than that, I'm just kind of pushing creative boundaries, working on next products, and really steering the vision of the company. And that's great. Now I'm taking on some additional roles, trying to build out more of our marketing efforts and our content creative strategy. And that's been a blast for me. People all the time ask me, what do I do? And I say, well, we make really cool notebooks. And usually that's followed by the head tilt of like, oh, that's cute.
That's nice.
It's cute.
Oh, good for you.
And which is great. And people usually then follow that up with, well, I have an iPad, so notebooks must be terrible business to be in. And I am like, yep. Continue to feel that way. That's great. And we've definitely figured some things out, and we continue to grow and innovate and add more and more and more technology. And the team we have is amazing. We have a blast. Took the team to Nicaragua last year to visit one of our schools and talk about career highlights, career wins, seeing your team every day. They're talking about, hey, what I'm doing is impacting people, but then to actually see the people that you are impacting um, is pretty spectacular.
That's awesome. Let's talk about that mission of your business a little bit. So, when I learned of this with you, I immediately thought of a couple of companies that really blossomed around the same time that you started, and they blossomed with this new wave of purpose-driven businesses, and a couple of the ones that I'm sure you are aware of, and I would be surprised if you weren't inspired by Warby Parker,
Mhm.
that every pair you buy gets a pair donated to someone
Right.
somewhere in the world. Was that
Mhm.
one of your early influences?
For sure. Warby
Okay.
Parker was a
How
big
about
influence.
Sanuk?
Oh, yeah.
Sanuk was another one, right?
Yep. Yep.
Um, Another one that I jotted down, Bomba socks
Oh, yeah.
came out like right around that
Mhm.
same time, and
Mhm.
it's like every pair you buy, they
Mhm.
donate a pair
Mhm.
to someone in
Yep.
need
Yep.
somewhere. What was and I know you're a purpose-driven
Mhm.
soul in general. Um, where did it come from for you to have this kind of lead with mission first? Because you talk about it, I think, right on your homepage
Mhm. Mhm.
of you build schools
Mhm.
with the profitability of your company.
Sure.
Where'd that all come from for you? And how did you get the first school? Because again, huevos, man.
Yeah.
You go and you're like, okay, well, let's go build a school in Nicaragua.
Yep.
Who does that?
Yeah.
How do you even start? What's the first step
Yep.
to starting that process?
Yep. So, there's been so many situations in my life where I've volunteered or donated time or given of myself. And, the 2-year volunteer missionary work was a big driver for me of like, I was just giving of myself and trying to help people for 2 years. And I saw
Mhm.
so much joy from that. So it was just natural of, okay, whatever I'm doing in business, there's gotta be some good component. And, I definitely was inspired by Tom's shoes as well. Um,
Oh yeah, Tom's
and
shoes. They were probably one of the earliest
yes.
of doing
And
that,
then
right? Yeah.
so it was 2.5 years into the business, got a phone call from Tom Shoes
You
to
did.
partner up with them. And so that was, one of those milestone markers of, man,
Heck
this
yeah,
is
tipping point.
incredible. So,
Yeah.
back to your question, that it's always kind of been a part of me. That's where I've had a lot of learning, a lot of joy in life. And I had a professor in college, the whole semester, all we were supposed to do was work on a BHAG, a big, hairy,
Mhm.
audacious goal. And so that was a
Mhm.
driver behind me of like, well, I've always wanted to start a business. And so that helped like give me some time and resources to go after it. And we studied a bunch about give back brands and things like that and nonprofits. And when I had my idea of like, yes, I'm going to do incredible artist design notebooks, I think other creatives want to do something good with their work and not just be remembered when they're dead. So
Yeah.
I thought, okay, well, my dad always said to me, you give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime. And I thought about Miss Crawford, the power of teachers. And so it was like, well, notebooks, let's build schools. And I thought, okay, I'm going to build a brand and I'm going to build the nonprofit side that builds schools. And
Is your nonprofit a separate entity that you donate to from your profit-driven business?
so
Is that how you have it set up?
that lasted 1 week. And I
Oh,
thought,
really?
I can't do both. So
Yeah. Okay.
my major professor was on the board of a nonprofit that built schools in Mali.
Ah, okay.
And so I went in and talked to him and I said, what if I donated proceeds to build schools with you guys? And
Uh-huh.
so that's how
Way easier.
way easier,
Way easier.
way easier.
Yeah.
So that's how we've
Yes.
done it for years is all different nonprofit
Yeah.
partners that we vet out and they work with the communities directly. They're
Uh-huh.
tied into those,
Okay.
um, those ministries of education, and even those communities have to put up the labor and they have to put up some of the funds. So it's not just a free gift.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so that's where it came from. Um, and that's how it's been ever since. We've funded a ton of other projects that we don't like share or talk about or The products that we're donating, we don't talk a lot about that as well, just because, it's just kind of part of the day to day what we're doing.
Yeah.
Different charity
Yeah.
groups and things. So,
Awesome. I had in the early years of my agency, it was when I probably had 5 employees at the time, and I realized that my whole day was just shoveling the poo of the business. I was no longer designing the stuff.
yeah,
I was no longer really ideating the stuff.
right,
I had
right.
art director, I had designers.
Mhm.
I was like dealing with the frustrated client, dealing with the frustrated employee. I was just shoveling the crap of the business. And I was sitting around thinking, man, what my business is even doing has no value to the world anyway. At the time, we were doing tons of like online games for Desperate Housewives show and
Yep.
Lost and Warner Brothers and freaking Scooby-Doo quizzes and whatever.
Yep.
We were doing all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, the work I'm doing as a company has no value.
Yep.
And my life inside this business is all the crappy stuff that nobody else wants to do that gets stuck on me. And so I went through this, it lasted me about a year, but I went through this phase of like, what is my purpose here? And I started looking at some of these organizations where you can go and you pay $3,000 or whatever, and you fly yourself down to Nicaragua and you build a school. And I was like, okay, maybe there's something in that. Maybe it's I send 5 team members every year or my whole team. We all fly, we all go build a school, and we all go do that thing. And I started looking at those things. And it took a year, but then we had our first company party
Yep.
at Lagoon, which is the Utah amusement park. It's like the Utah Six Flags.
Yep.
Anyway, we go to Lagoon, and it was the first time that everybody associated with my business was together. We had the team all in their team shirts and stuff with the company logo, and their spouses and their kids, and there were like 52 people or something that came to the pavilion.
Yep.
And I was looking around and I realized, oh, this is the purpose. It's not the Desperate Housewives quiz or the Scooby-Doo quiz or whatever. That's not what I'm building here.
Yeah.
I'm building a business that's providing for the improved skill set of all the people as a milestone in their career, supporting their spouses and their kids and whoever
Yep.
else is associated with them, building their portfolio with work that they'll probably have in there 20 years from now. They'll still be showing off some of the work that they did at my agency. And I started to see this bigger vision of what my business was beyond just the crap that we were producing into the world. Because if you don't do that, you wake up one day, I'm not gonna put words in your mouth, but you wake up one day and realize, I'm just making another freaking notebook.
Right.
And somebody's just gonna fill up this notebook, and then they're gonna stick it on a shelf, and then someday a great-great-grandkid might thumb through it for 7 minutes, and then they'll put it back on the shelf. Like that's the thing. And yours is even more like the core business is even more purpose-driven than what my business was, and I can still see holes in where I could lose my motivation for a business like yours unless you do what you're doing with schools and things, and unless you change that paradigm, which I think a lot of creative entrepreneurs need to change, or entrepreneurs in general, need to change the paradigm and realize what you're building is not really the product you're offering, but it is the culture, the infrastructure, the experiences that you're building within the team, and the people you impact for the better in your customer base too.
Yep.
Anyway, what of that has rattled around in your head? You've nodded your head a bunch of times, and I think every entrepreneur has probably gone through some of these paradigm shifts.
So people ask me, and actually I'll throw it out here right now. We could throw it out at the end too, but on my LinkedIn, on my Instagram, I have a link to my calendar, and it's for artists, entrepreneurs, designers, students who are looking for some mentoring, some help. It's no charge. You just grab a slot on my calendar. The Calendly is just calendly.com/Tyler Denik, or Denik, Denik, however you want to say it. I don't care. Yep. So anybody that wants a slot, my calendar is just always open. You can just grab 15, 30 minutes on there, and it's been
I
that
love
way
that.
for years. But I always have people who jump on there and they ask me, this exact thing of I want to do something good with my business, with my freelance creative work. I want it to mean something. I want to do X, Y, or Z. And I always come back and tell them, just start today. Just start with a little bit. There's something you believe in. You send them $1, right? You hit their Venmo account, whatever it is, like you start giving to that, start driving and talking about what you want to help with, right? Just start a little bit right now. It doesn't have to be um, this big part of your marketing effort. And I tell people too, even ours today, people aren't waking up going, you know what? I really just want to build schools. Let me find a brand that's building schools, and whatever they have, I'm just going to buy it. That's just kind of a foundational piece of who we are, and it's kind of a added benefit that some good's going to be happening here. And I tell people it's like buying a house. If you're cruising through a neighborhood, you love the neighborhood, and you see a house, it's visual appeal, curb appeal. You love it. You love the location, the neighborhood. This home's amazing. And then you're interested in that thing. If you're going to buy it, that's when you do the inspection and you see that the foundation is good. There's not cracks and things, and the plumbing works, and it's all to code. And I tell people that's kind of like your core mission, the give back, the good. Have it as a part of your foundation. That's just part of what you do and who you are. Just do it, no matter how big it is. But people are actually going to buy our products on the shelves. They got to see something that they like first. And then when they pick it up, they'll go, oh yeah, that's pretty cool that it also does that.
Yeah.
So
Love it. Okay, so you were talking about just now the $1, just at least just start, even if it's just $1, take that first step. I want to talk about, we've talked about you having the guts to try, having the guts to just go for it. And I think some of it is having the courage to even dream it. And this is where a lot of people fail. They're afraid to even say to themselves, I'm going to go and build a business that builds schools. That's what I'm going to build. Or I'm going to go and build a creative business and I want to work with Disney. That's my dream. And they're too afraid to actually say it. This guy, Christopher something, whatever, the photographer guy,
Yeah.
and then him having the boldness, fortune favors the bold, to go and submit 6 times to try and get in the gallery. Very few people have the courage to even dream that they want to be in the gallery, let alone the tenacity to go and try 6 times to do it. Where does that come from inside of somebody? Like the courage part, I think is I've been trying to unlock it in people for years, because I do a lot of one-on-one coaching. I do a lot of group coaching and things, and what my career is now. And I love what I'm doing, but I have not cracked the code on how do I take what feels so natural to me, that go for the jugular entrepreneurship, and translate that or teach that into somebody who still lacks the courage to even dream it. How do you get somebody out of that? I asked this question to a lot of people, and I don't know if I've ever had anybody give me the big drop on what it is.
Yep. I think my opinion is we can't change someone, their attitudes, their behaviors, no matter what we do, what we give them. But I do think we can give them repetition and enough love and care to where even if they're not doing it, there's still a little bit of accountability there that we know that it's inside them. And being able to show up for people. I've had a couple situations before where I remembered someone from a couple of years ago and just shot them an email like, hey, how's that thing? And I don't know if that's done any good or helped encourage people or what, but those are the types of things that I think people need is they need a little bit of an accountability partner. They need to be able to share that thinking, uh, even if they don't have the idea, you know, the mentality or whatever it is. Um, I don't have a good way to pull it out of people, but sharing personal stories, trying to relate. Anytime I've heard someone else's story, I've been inspired.
Yeah.
And
You mentioned the photographer dude
yeah,
on this.
exactly. So
And that was a long time
it was a
ago,
long
15
time
years
ago.
ago or something,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's hard, and if if you have someone that you can talk to and just have a little bit of mentoring, I think that's why so much of the world talks about mentoring.
Yeah.
But I think on the mentoring side, it's got to be mentors that care and are willing to go to bat for you and show up and follow up. Um,
Yeah.
it's like coaches I had in sports all growing up.
Mm.
They showed up constantly,
Yeah.
pushed me,
Yeah.
challenged me. Um, and you probably had the same. Why you're so
Oh,
competitive?
totally. Yeah, totally had that, and I had my own kind of personal insecurities that made me try and go to the next good
Yep.
or conquer the
Yep.
next thing. There is a challenge though still that I haven't solved, but there's like those 2 kind of people, the one who gets punched and then turns
Mm,
and goes and just rages on the person who punched them, and then there's the other person who gets punched and flops and doesn't get up and says, "Oh,
yeah.
it's over. I just lost the fight." I don't know how
Mm,
to unlock person number 1 from somebody who feels like person number
yeah.
2.
Yeah.
You said a couple of things that I think were really good in trying to answer that question. Surround yourself, well, you said repetition was your thing.
Hmm.
Repetition, but surround yourself with people who have done it or believe it or listen to things like Tyler and his experience here, and you're listening to that, and then you're thinking to yourself, "Okay, somebody else did it. I can do it."
Yep.
Love and care, finding somebody who loves you, believes in you, supports you in that idea, and then go back to this Rudy Rudiger, story that we talked about and your 3rd grade teacher who could have crashed your dreams throwing your thing away and
Hmm.
said, "That's not even worth anything, Tyler." Threw it away. Instead,
Yep.
"This is too good to throw away," and slides it back to you. Now all of a sudden, Tyler's an artist
Mhm.
approved by someone who loves and cares for him and sees his talent, and that spark changes the paradigm of your life. Encouraging others. I think that this is something we talked about also, just being careful as someone who has walked a path of some success of some kind,
Hmm.
run a business like you're doing, be aware of your ability to encourage, inspire others, and then find opportunities to do it. And I love that you're doing this Calendly link, man. If you're listening to this and you're not signing up for a 15-minute chat with Tyler, what are you thinking? He's giving away his time for free. Go sign up and have the chat,
For
man. This
sure.
is like an entrepreneur one time first business sells his shares, let's be honest, Parco, and then the second business turns into what Denik is today. Dude, you're batting 1,000 on this.
You're
You're batting 1,000.
you're you're
So
you're
there's
very kind.
so much inspiration that people can have from you. Okay, let me ask you this question
Yep.
then. Why did you find success? What's so special about you, Tyler? Why are you because this is what people can think too. Oh, well,
Mhm.
I mean, that's Tyler, and he did it. He did it already. He's successful. What's special about you, man, that other people don't have that made you be successful and they won't be? What is it? What's special?
I don't really have a good answer for you. I've stuck with it, and there's there's been countless days where I'm in the office at 3 a.m. and I'm just sitting here crying. Like, what
Yeah.
on earth do I do? What I just lost this. I just failed at this. And there's a little bit of insanity, a little bit of crazy to go, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep going. But you got to cherish those highlights. When I think about if you and I sat here right now and we said, all right, Mike, what are you kind of afraid of right now? Like where do you feel like an imposter? You would talk about things. And
Oh
I
yeah.
would talk about things of where I feel like an imposter and,
Yeah.
and people would go, "Wait, those guys, they feel like
Yeah.
imposters?" And it's still real. It doesn't go
Yeah.
away. Um, it's just a little bit of a tenacity and grit to just keep going, just to keep
Yeah.
pushing. I would say grit outdoes talent every day. And
Yeah.
so there are random things I'm talented at, and people would say I'm good at this or I'm good at that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I've just had the grit. And there were so many people who heard the story of you're starting a notebook company, you're an idiot. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah. Well, you know what was the big phrase at that time? iPads came out, the
Exactly.
mobile first digital era,
Mhm.
and everybody's like end of print and newspapers
Yep.
going out of
Yep.
business left and right. From 2010
Mhm.
until 2015,
Mm.
all the newspapers that were going to survived, and all the rest of them were dead.
Yep.
And we're left with like maybe 3 that still print
Exactly.
a tangible paper. And so you're in the middle of that era
Mhm.
deciding to start a notebook company. All those other people were right, man. You
Yep.
were crazy.
Yep.
You were crazy.
For
They were
sure.
spot on. Yeah, they were spot on.
Oh,
Yeah, man.
well.
But you did it because of grit, because of
Yep.
tenacity, because you stuck with it,
Yep.
because you embraced the crazy. I
Mhm.
love that.
Mhm.
I think that there's something in that too with entrepreneurship. You have to realize that my life is no longer going to be like other normal people.
Yep.
I'm going to be like going through stuff that normal people would. I used to say I live at a stress level
Mm.
that would destroy most people.
Right.
That was like my whole agency run.
Mhm.
Like my anxiety stress level was like here,
Yep.
and the baseline normal for most people in the
Mhm.
world is like
Mhm.
here. And this was, I lived it for years and years
Yep.
and years. And you just have to just
Sure.
gut it out as an entrepreneur.
Well, you talked about being punched in the face, and you have an option. You can lay there or you can get up. And anyone that's listening to this, anyone in the world, they have had situations in their life where they got punched in the face and they got up. But
Mhm.
they're just sitting here thinking about the time where, whether it's with their business or their work or whatever, where they got punched in the face and they laid there. I've laid there in so many scenarios.
Me
This is
too.
just one scenario where I did keep getting up, and I'm still getting up when I get punched in the face.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
so people need to realize there's so many situations in your life where you have been punched in the face, but you got up. That's commendable. Like, you're still waking up, you're still breathing. You may have health ailments, whatever it is. Like, you're getting punched and you're getting up. So you have it. It's just in certain areas.
Yeah. I tell people the only way you cannot fail as an entrepreneur unless you quit being an entrepreneur. It's the only way you'll
Mhm.
lose, because if you continue to get up, even when you go bankrupt, when this business fails, when this all goes to pot and everything is awful and your biggest client leaves you and all your employees walk, all those moments, that's just part of the journey.
Mhm.
That is just part of the journey. And as long as you decide, okay, well, you know what? I learned a lot of lessons the hard way with that one. I'm going to start another business and be an entrepreneur again.
Yep.
That's embracing the crazy, but that's the only way that you're gonna lose is if you decide, "You know what? I'm done. I'm not gonna be an entrepreneur anymore."
Mhm.
But if you stay with it, eventually you're gonna succeed because you'll have learned the lessons from all of the failures.
Yep.
So, I love that concept of just gutting it out. I did that so many times,
Mhm.
man. The amount of times I cried because of my freaking business, I can't even count
I
them.
know.
It's so
Yep.
many. It's so many.
Yep.
I it's
I
yeah,
wish I
that's a
could.
whole nother podcast that we could
Oh,
talk
I know.
about for a
Yep.
few hours.
Just fails
Yeah,
for sure.
it is. And they just are gut wrenching because you feel like it's all so mission critical.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's something I've learned too. And I'll just throw this out at the kind of end here as we start to wrap up. But none of this stuff is mission critical. That's the thing. Like we get so into our business and we think, oh, this client, I've got to get this thing out. And no, my biggest press just went down
Mhm.
and now I can't fulfill the orders that I got. And what's the real worst case scenario for most people running a business? That there's a delay
Mhm.
of a week or 2 weeks
Mhm.
or 3
Mhm.
days or whatever
Yep.
in getting the thing, and then you have to go and sort through. That's the worst case scenario. It's not life and death. There are very few life and death kinds of businesses
Yep.
that really matter. I mean, you run in an old folks home or something, running
Yep.
the emergency response team,
Yep.
at some hospital or something, those kinds of people,
Mhm.
brain surgeons, heart surgeons, all these people, they can be stressed.
Right.
I give them carte blanche, man. You can be as stressed as you want.
Yep.
But running a notebook company, running a creative business, running any other kind of just service-oriented business or product-oriented business,
Yep.
man, let's all just dial it down a notch
Yep.
because at the end of the day, it is not mission critical in our
Yep.
lives, but we act like it does sometimes as an entrepreneur.
Yep.
Get so emotionally wound
Couldn't
up.
agree more. I brought on investors in 2014, and one of the first things they said was, "Hey, this is just how we live, like, stress less. If we can get
Yeah.
one message across to you, it's stress less." And so they
Yeah.
always said that, and, I tell people now, the fires in your business, they'll be there tomorrow, but
Yeah.
your family members might not be. So go home.
Yeah. It's so good. I love that. I've gotten wiser at this in my later years too. So I hired Bree Taylor
Mhm.
earlier this year, and you've met her, and we had a call a few weeks ago. Anyway, to start doing conferences and things, and this will be a good transition to how Denik is going to be involved in what we're doing. But when she came on, I was like, this is a zero stress business. There is nothing that we are doing in this kind of thought leadership, speaking, coaching, community oriented business that is mission critical, that if it doesn't happen today, then no big deal. Now, I'm not saying that we should be lazy
Yeah.
and we should not get things done and all that, but there's no like, I'm never coming down on anybody as if this were life and death. And in my agency years, I felt it, man. You take on a $500,000 project and the server crashes, which I had happen. I was just pure agony
Mhm.
because in my head, I'm like, oh no, this is mission critical. I felt, and it isn't.
Yeah.
It isn't. You know what happened? The freaking site was back up like 6 hours later. Took a long time and people were stressed.
Yeah.
My team was stressed trying to
Sure.
get it back live.
Yep.
Hundreds of thousands of people going to a dead server.
Mhm.
Like, you know what? Who cares? At the end of the day, who cares? But
Yep.
I felt it like it was like somebody dying on my operating
Mhm.
table.
Yep.
So I love that.
Mm.
Stress less.
Yep.
So good from seasoned entrepreneurs
For sure.
to Tyler from his executive board. Do you have a board of directors now? You have a board that
Yeah, we
your investors are on
yeah,
and stuff?
we do have a board,
Yeah.
one operating partner, and then 4 investors.
Nice.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Well, your business has done awesome. I learned about you a few years ago from James Martin,
Mm.
who's a mutual friend of
Mhm.
both of ours. And James is just such a great person. And I hadn't heard of Denik, even though you're a couple hours north of where I live, hadn't heard of Denik, and then saw James had some collaboration stuff with you. And he sent me a couple of your notebooks, and I
Oh, cool.
moved offices from one part of my house to this part of my house. And I could not find them. I was trying to find them, and I know they're buried in one of my boxes somewhere, but, I was like, "What are these?" Because it was just
Mm.
the custom
Yep.
designed
Yep.
stuff. We have an event coming up in London called Morepalooza, which is a retreat for creative entrepreneurs, and Tyler and Denik are doing custom notebooks where each one is a different design. No two are alike, which I think is just so good. I've loved moo.com,
Mhm.
Moo
Yeah.
cards
Yep.
for the last, probably 15 years since I started doing Moo cards. I've never ordered business cards anywhere else afterwards because they do 50 different backs
Yep.
for your cards. And as a creative,
Yep.
that was like a gold mine. We would design
Mhm.
50 different
Mhm.
business cards. And so when I heard from you that you were doing a similar type of approach to notebooks.
Yep.
I think it's even more applicable than the business card thing of having these completely custom, one-of-a-kind notebooks. Where did this come from, and how did you make it work from a financial standpoint? Because
Yeah,
that's
good
an
question.
expensive thing, and you got to keep your cost in check,
Yep.
so you don't price out your customer.
Yep.
Yeah.
So for us, we had the 3 channels of the business. And my first investors had built multiple consumer product companies in the retail world, so wholesale. So we had built out this wholesale channel to where, we're selling in over 16,000 retail locations throughout North America. And that retail volume is what is hitting the presses. And because we got that volume up, we also had, the guys over at Struck, when we were first making notebooks, they were like, "Oh, that's cool. Can you make some for us at Struck?" And so we then started doing these custom bulk ones too. So we had this retail channel growing, this custom bulk channel growing. And then we built out this tool on our site where we said, look, because we're printing so much every day, we could throw in 1. We could throw in 2, 3, 5, whatever. So we built that out into our system as well to have that print on demand capacity. And that's just plugged right in. And so now we just want to showcase it even further. So when we were talking about teaming up with you guys on this event, I was like, let's just do 1 of 1. Everyone that gets, comes to the event, they get a 1 of 1 notebook. And it's going to be totally unique, different. And so that's exciting. That's the type of stuff we want to do more of. So any other creatives or folks out there that want to get a little wild with notebooks, just hit me up.
Yeah. Well, you can see it right on your website. You can just order a one-off.
Yep.
Upload your design and get a notebook. Now you do get some price breaks if you order multiple.
For sure.
But you can just, if you have an idea for your next great notebook, you can just purchase it, upload your design just like you would in a Vistaprint or a moo.com or something. And then instead of your business cards showing up in the mail, it's your notebook. I love the business model. I think everybody who is going to die because of the end of print is pretty much dead already. So I think here's something I hadn't thought about, but I thought about it at the beginning of our conversation. This AI wave that we're hitting is going to put more value back onto handcrafted, hand-created stuff.
For sure.
Than we've seen since the digital age. So you could go back to the year 2000 and everything started going digital, and now the digital can be created by a robot, and the hand-generated stuff, I think, just goes up in value. And the people like James Martin, who we mentioned, who have that artistic skill, they start to shine in the years ahead in comparison to the people who are so just digital. And that bodes well for a Denik in the world that you cater to that. So I'll be interested to see what happens in your business moving forward.
Me too. I
think it's brighter than it's probably ever been, man.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And we're excited about it. For sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been super fun. We could chat for hours and hours. Maybe we should do the what made you cry session at some point and swap stories. I got plenty of those.
Be some good content.
Thank you, Tyler. Everybody can go to denik.com, denik.com, and we'll drop some other links into the description of everywhere that this is posted. And hit Tyler up for his freaking Calendly, man. Before the slots get so full that there is no capacity left, man, people should, just to get what we were talking about, a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of repetition, a little bit of love and care that can help you on your entrepreneurial journey.
For sure.
He has it sitting there waiting for you. So thank you for doing that. It means a lot, I'm sure, to everybody who's ever reached out to you doing that.
Right on. Well,
any final thoughts, Tyler, before we sign out?
Yeah, I think, Mike, you're doing great things. Thanks for inspiring people, inspiring me, making the connection. Excited to see what the future holds. Keep let's keep going.
I
Keep
love
creating.
it. I'm having more fun in my career. I'm like so dialed into what I really, really love to do. I I I, I don't ever want to retire. That's where I am. I'm like, okay, I could do this till the end of when I'm capable of working.
Yep.
Which who knows when that'll be.
Same here.
I'm 53. It could be tomorrow. It could be in like 40 years. You just don't know. At age 53, you got somewhere between 1 and 50 years left on Earth, and then we'll see what happens. That's a little too doomsday. A little too doomsday. Um, so when we have more Palooza coming up, and we will have all of these custom notebooks, we plan to take a lot of shots and show off some of the stuff. I'm just excited to see what comes of it. We sent over a bunch of design assets to Tyler's in-house design team, and shout out to that. If you want a job just being a freaking designer, designing creative, cool stuff in a non-advertising heavy driven world, there's companies like Denik, including Denik, that have design jobs that I would consider a dreamer design job. It's just, imagine your designers probably have a lot of longevity there if they really realize the kind of opportunity that they have.
They definitely have a blast. And it's wild to see, walk in every day and see Netflix designs, Red Bull, J. Crew, Mercedes. It's
so fun.
It's cool.
I love it. Okay, man, thank you. This was super fun. Thanks everybody for listening to this episode of What the Helvetica. We will see you all again in a future episode. And well, I'm sure you'll be seeing Tyler again on some content with me at some point, because we got a lot more we could talk about, I'm sure.
For sure.
Thanks everybody. We'll talk to you soon.